All right, guys, today is Friday. It is October 23rd. Let me pull up the agenda today. All right, so we started our day off with our morning movement. We read the story of Fiona the Hippo and learned all about Miss Fiona. And then we, excuse me, we talked about fractions, decimals, and money. And so we kind of made a connection between all the decimals and everything that we've been talking about with money. And so we did a review. And so these were some things that we added into our notebook. So we added all this information to the side. We have to know the values of things with our coins. So $1 equals 100 cents. And we had made that connection when we were talking about our pink paper that was all the papers that we passed out that were with all the textbooks and all that. There's a pink page in there. And one of the models has a square that has 100 little, it's broken into 100 little pieces. And so we talked about how making $1, we could put a penny on each one of those spots and count them all up, and that would equal to $1. So here is our quarter. The quarter is worth 25 cents. The dime is worth 10 cents. So this is $0.25. The dime is 0. We don't have any holes. 10. And then the nickel has a value of 5 cents. And the penny has the value of 1 cent. So if you notice, each of these placements, the 1 is in the hundreds place, the 5 is in the hundreds place. Here we've talked about how dimes represent our tenths. So here we know that 10 pennies is the same as 1 dime. So when you regroup that 10 hundredths over, that's why you have that 1 placed in the tens place here. And then for our quarter, we have a quarter is made up of 2 dimes and 1 nickel, 25. So the 2 is in the tenths place and the 5 is in the hundredths place. So here's the value of that, what they look like written out and in word form. Then we know that we can take 4 quarters to make $1, 10 dimes to make $1, 20 nickels to make $1, and 100 pennies to make $1. So go ahead and pause this video and make sure that all of that information is up in your math notebook. All right, then we went to Seesaw. We used that information to help us with this assignment. So if you go to your activities, there is an assignment called Relating Decimals and Money. So here, this is a matching game. And so we're trying to find, we're trying to match up. So they're all, they were all over here. Let me edit this. They were all over to the side over here. So let me just push those out of the way real quick. So here's the example. So here you have $2 bills, you have 2 quarters and 3 pennies. So again, you can use your information from your notebook. You can say, okay, I know if I have, let me get my pencil here. I have 2 quarters, blow this up. So I have 2 quarters, so each one of these is 25 cents, 0.25. Each one of these is 0.01. 0.01, and this is worth 2.00. So when I have all of that added up, I can see that that equals, here's $2, 25 and 25 is 50, plus 3 would be 53. So there's my $2.53. And then again, I can see here that this $2.53, I see the 2 holes right here. 2 holes. I see 5 tenths, and then 3 hundredths matches. So you're going to take these dollar amounts, you can line them all up, And then you're going to take your money and line it up where it goes, and then these need to go where they go. So everything needs to be matched up in a column, just like you see here. And then students turn that in, and then they went to the math choice board after that when they were done. And in small group, we went over our daily review, and students turned that in. So students, they made sure that they had each of the problems, and then we checked some of them together in small group. It was all over decomposing and comparing fractions. So we were reviewing those. And then for reading today, we finished this activity that we've been working on all week. So this was about finding text structure. And let me open up mine. All right, so each day we've been talking about different types of structures that we can find when we're reading informational texts. They can be structured in different ways. So we've been looking at keywords, we've been looking at these different little paragraphs, and we've been identifying them as each of the text structures. So today we had cause and effect. So let me zoom in here to the bottom. And it says, we all know that not getting enough sleep makes us grumpy, but it can also cause other problems. A lack of sleep can make school harder because a tired person is not alert enough to learn. You can also get sick due to a lack of sleep. So get to bed. So then we talked about why this was identified as cause and effect. We said not getting enough sleep. And then it talks about all these problems that it can cause. So a lack of sleep can make school harder. You're not alert enough to learn. You can get sick. So those were the effects that follow after not getting enough sleep. So we came up with our own. So students helped me with this one. So my cause was don't if you don't pay attention in class. So that was the cause. And then these are the things that they said could happen. So they said students said you could fail, you will get bad grades, and you're going to get in trouble. So students came up with their own cause and then what the effects were, and then that was turned in also. That was the last of that, so they turned that in today. I'm going to turn in mine too. Then for reading, the students they've been working independently on this each day. So if you go down to name that text structure, so each day they've had 2 passages to read and record. I want to hear them reading. And then they had to name and identify the text structure on their own. So they recorded themselves and then they just circled. So Monday had 2, Tuesday had 2, Wednesday had 2, and so on. So that was due today. Then they went to the choice board when they were done with that while I pulled independent groups. And for the groups, we continued reading Up, Up, and Away. And so we've been practicing going back to the text, and we read it one time, and then we go back and we've been modeling how to really take sentence by sentence and really analyze it and really think about, what the story's about, stopping on different vocab words. Like today, we were talking about hot air balloons being anchored to the ground. And so we were making connections. Okay, like where have we heard that word before? We've heard it with a boat. What does it mean when a boat gets anchored? And just really, trying to make those connections with, things that we already are familiar with and applying them to new situations. So we worked on that. And we finished the story today, so it's got quite a few questions that follow. So we'll hang on to this and we'll push it into next week. This week was busy, busy, busy with all the testing, so that is no problem that is still sitting in the activities here on Seesaw. We'll keep going with that next week. All right, so that was reading. In writing today, we talked about our benchmark. Overall, I said that students did really, really well. The biggest thing that I saw is a lack of details, which, I mean, that is completely typical for fourth grade. Just really practicing, they all did a really good job of identifying, and they had that central idea. They had that person that they wanted to meet, and then they had reasons why, but we have to learn how to expand on that. So you don't want what I call just a shopping list of all these reasons. Oh, I like this person because they're fun and they make me happy, and I like to watch their videos, and they do cool tricks, and he tells jokes all the time, and just this long list of, just all these examples of why they wanted to meet that person. That's a shopping list, right? I need eggs, I need bread, I need milk, this. And you don't really go into depth. Okay, so that's what we want. So we want you to pick 2 to 3 items, 2 to 3 reasons, and then really expand on them. So if you say, I want to meet such and such because they're a famous YouTuber, or this person's a famous YouTuber, which is what almost everybody wrote about. And, I want to meet them because they do really cool challenges. Well, most of you stopped there and then you went on to the next reason. Well, if you just told me really cool like they do really cool challenges, well, as a reader, I want to know what the really cool challenges are. Remember, you're trying to convince me that this is a really cool person to meet. And so, you need to go into detail. If you give some information, expand. So really blow up that idea. Then we did just a fun holiday, little quick write. Students uploaded them to Seesaw. So they had the task of coming up with a Halloween costume for Miss Snyder. They had to come up with the costume, and then they had to write reasons why that should be my costume. So again, just practicing those reasons and expanding. And then the fast focus, we finished that up. So that was in Seesaw also. We were hanging out in Seesaw a lot this week. So go up, fast focus. We turned this in today. And so we looked at the last 2 pages. So we read A Weighty Matter, and then we had 3 questions here that we worked on, and this 4th one here. And so that needs to be finished and turned in today. Then we went to lunch and recess. Then we came back, and for science today, we reviewed weathering, erosion, and deposition. Students had plenty of time to finish their comic, and I made, so that I could keep them all together, I made an activity for it, weathering, erosion, and deposition comic. So this, you take a picture of your comic and make sure you record and read it to me. If you just take a photo, I can't read, especially with the Chromebooks. They don't take the greatest photos, so it's really, really hard for me to read, and I really want to hear your story. So make sure that you record and read it, and then, of course, I want to see your drawings and all that too. And remember, this isn't just like regular comic. Like your whole goal in this is that your character, or whatever's going on in your story, is that you're showing me examples or telling me this story about the process of weathering, erosion, and deposition. So I should hear lots of nice vocabulary and really be able to hear your understanding of each of these 3 processes. So we did that. They submitted that on Seesaw. In social studies today, we talked about healers and shamans. So let me open up this. So it says in almost every Native American tribe, there's a medicine man, a shaman, or a healer, as seen in these pictures, which are coming. Maybe they're there. These men had to go beyond human power to use herbs and chants to heal the sick. A healer gained his power to heal through dreams and visions. During these visions, the Great Spirit, during these visions with the Great Spirit, Healers were told how to heal the sick and which herbs, roots, and plants to use. The drum or rattle summoned the healer's spirit, sheltered the souls of the sick person, and defended the healer against evil spirits. It also helps calm and relax the sick. Other instruments like the rattle shook away disease, and bells, borrowed from Christianity, brought God's healing power. As a healer, Cabeza de Vaca claimed that God and the Christian cross led to his success. His healing of the sick gained him a reputation as a faith healer. He attracted many Indian followers who regarded him as the child of the sun, endowed with the power to heal and destroy. So we read the book, The Legend of the Indian Paintbrush. There's also another one on here called The Shaman's Apprentice that I told the students that they could watch if they wanted on their own time. And so we listened to that. So you can click the link. All of this is on the agenda. So you can click the link there and hear that story. And then our in Google Classroom, our week 10 assignment here. All right, so this week we had 4 days. We took one off. We took the Thursday off just with testing. We just did one day that Wednesday. So today we had Friday. So this is escaping starvation in the village of misfortune. So they were told that if they did not heal, that they were going to starve pretty much. And so the story talks about kind of the predicament that they were in. So why does he heal the sick, or what did he do to heal the sick man? And then why did he need to do that? And so you can click the article to read along and listen to that. And then you fill in your answers. That needs to be turned in today. And then while we're here and over here in Google Classroom, everything in Google Classroom needs to be, all of this should be turned in. There was only one thing that we weren't done with in science. Oh, I forgot to mention this in science. We worked on Friday, science, weathering, erosion, and deposition. We worked on the first 5 questions. We're going to work on the other 5 next week. And so we were taking what we've learned and applying it to some questions here. So we didn't answer them together. We just talked about them, and then students had the chance to go answer. So it says, which of the following is least responsible for the weathering of rocks? Wind blowing, river flowing, animals digging, or rain falling? Number 2 says sand picked up and blown by the wind can cause weathering in the desert. Which type of weathering is this? So sand is picked up and it's moved. That part is erosion. But then that sand that's in the air can hit against another, rock or something, and it can cause weathering. It can cause that breaking just by that sand in the air blowing against it repeatedly, over time for a long, long, long time. So it's saying, what kind of weathering is this? Is it abrasion, the process of scraping or wearing something away, waves pounding in the shore, cave formation, or ice expansion? So again, we're talking about the desert, so you can take quite a few of those out just by thinking about where we are. Number 3, which of these things does not cause weathering? So does not. Glacier, wind, precipitation, and soil. The kids weren't familiar with precipitation. That's part of we'll talk about it a lot more once we get to the water cycle. I'm almost certain they had that vocab word last year when they talked about the water cycle. But anyways, we went over it. So precipitation is anytime it rains, sleet, snow, hail. It depends on the temperature, what we get. So we know that weathering can be caused by water, wind, and ice. So if you think about, okay, this one is ice, this one is wind, this one is water, this one is soil, which of these ones doesn't kind of, fit in that category? Number 4, if precipitation, so let's say, for example, if rain increases, meaning it starts raining a lot more, weathering is like to decrease. So weathering is going to happen less. weathering is going to happen more, weathering is going to remain the same, or it's just going to completely stop occurring. And then number 5, they need to write in complete sentences, capital letter, punctuation, all of that. If a winter has particularly unusual weather with repeated freezing and thawing cycles, what effect would this have on weathering of rocks? So that repeated freezing, thawing, we watched a couple videos where we saw evidence of this and what happens. We have it in our notebook. So think back to what we talked about, what happens, and we did the lab with the egg where we froze the egg. So think about water gets in those cracks, and if you've got those extreme temperatures and you have, let's say, freezing because it gets really cold at night, and then you have thawing, maybe it's a lot warmer during the day, and then you have that freezing and that thawing and that freezing and that thawing. Over time, long time of this happening, what's causing, what effect would this have on weathering of rocks? And you're explaining. So you can click this box and there's a text box in there that you can type on. Again, we stopped at 5, so we stopped at this question. The remaining other half we will do next week, and then students will turn that in. And then, okay, so I forgot to mention that for science. So this here, everything in week 10 should be completed. And so math, multiple choice fractions and decimals, fractions and decimal practice problems, the quizzes should be complete. Our social studies week 10 should be complete. The math extra practice videos, these again are just extra practice. You can click on them for review of topics that we talked about this week with math. And then Thursday, the ed puzzle that we did, that should be complete. And then where is Seesaw? There it is. All right, in Seesaw, things that should be complete, our comic should be turned in. Relating decimals and money, that matching should be turned in. This one, you're writing the fraction and the decimal. You need to have shaded in the model. That should be turned in. Decimals and fractions should be turned in. Daily review should be turned in. Erosion speaking activity should be turned in. Fast focus page 2 should be turned in. Finding text structure should be turned in. Up, and away. The small group activity should not. It should be drafted. We have not finished. Name that text structure. That should be turned in. And I've sent back quite a few because they have the answer, but they don't have the recording. So half of the assignment is the recording. I want to make sure that you're reading. I want to hear you read. I've got a lot of new students and I need to know kind of where you are with reading. So I need everybody to record so I can listen to you and kind of know where you're at so I can make sure I'm putting you in the best reading group. And then you're going to, of course, apply what you learned with text structures and choose the right one. So make sure you have both parts done. And then this is what we did on Monday with the Go Math page 43. You uploaded and talked to me about that page there. So take a photo and upload, then record how you got your answers. And so once you have all that, again, the only thing that should be sitting in your Seesaw is the small group. Everything else should be completed and turned in by today. It's due. And then that, I think, is all. On Fridays, we have a fun Friday. So I usually pick a random assignment, and those that have completed it get to join me. Those that have not need to go work on it, and then they can come join. So we had a couple of virtual field trips. So the links, I'll leave the links on. Oh, this one looks like it went on twice. Let me see. Does that still work? Yep. Okay. Sorry. So this one was space themed. This one was, we looked at this last week, but we had a lot of fun with it. So I put it again. So this one you can travel all around space, go to Mars, look at all kinds of rockets and fun things. This one was the bird one. So there's lots of live cams and cool recorded stuff where you could see birds just all over the world and see their nesting sites and feeding sites and stuff like that. So we enjoyed that. So those two were there for us to go. And the only other thing is we've got our Prodigy contest going on. It ends on the 1st. So we've got this weekend, we'll have next week, and then next weekend, and then I'll announce the winner that Monday morning. So it stops here on the 1st, and then I'll announce Monday. And I think that is it, guys. All right. I had a great week. I hope you did too. Thank you.